Um, okay, there we go. Again, my name's Carrie Loeb. I live here in central Mexico, and it's really my pleasure to see so many people joining us today. This is wonderful. What you're going to learn about today, as Deepti mentioned, about ancient healing traditions, and the work you'll learn today and what I'm going to talk a lot about today comes from a combination of these ancient healing traditions, which includes traditional Chinese medicine, macrobiotics, Ayurvedics. I know a lot of people in India are very familiar with Ayurvedic. So a lot of this work I'm going to be talking about comes from that perspective. And for me, my story is almost 40 years ago, I started doing a technique for moving the energy through my entire body and through my face and head to keep me feeling good and healthy and looking good and looking younger. And now I'm almost 70 years old, and I definitely feel much younger than that. Most people say I act a whole lot younger than that. But anyhow, what we're going to talk about today is specific to the head and the face. And even though the routine that I teach, the self-massage routine, incorporates the entire body, today we're going to focus in on the face and the head. And I'm going to be talking a lot about energy. That you'll hear that word a lot, but also it's also called prana from an Ayurvedic perspective or a yoga perspective. It's called prana, or chi from a Chinese medical perspective. So you're going to hear me using those words. Basically, it just means energy moving through our body. And the overall theory behind all of this from a traditional Chinese medical perspective is that when the energy is moving through the pathways in our body, and there's 14 pathways, which are called meridians, and they relate to the 10 internal organs. So when the energy is moving through the 14 meridians and 10 internal organs, then things like disease, ill health, health imbalances, and chronic pain cannot exist. So that's the theory in Chinese medicine. And that's everything that I teach, is how to keep that energy moving through all these meridians and all the internal organs so that we can feel good and look good. And so today, just to mention, so a lot of the things, I'm going to show you a couple charts today, and you'll see how the energy moves through the face and the head, but then those same lines of energy, those same meridians go down into the body, all the way down into the feet, and then turn around and come back up. So if there's stuck energy anywhere in our bodies, that's going to affect the energy that comes up into our face and head, and that's going to affect how we look. Also, if there's any energy stuck in the face or the head, which there generally is, then that's going to affect the energy that moves through our body. So it all works together. It's this wonderful circle of energy that moves through our face and our head and our entire bodies. So the way you know if there's stuck energy anywhere, there's a number of ways you would know that. One is you might get hot or cold sensations anywhere along in your body, your legs, your arms, or in your body or your face or your head. You might feel some tingling. You might notice some poor blood circulation, like cold hands and feet. These can all be symptoms of stuck energy somewhere in the body. You can have unexplained pain. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, where you have chronic pain syndromes and you just can't get rid of them. That generally is an indication of stuck chi in the body. You might feel just fatigue a lot, really tired a lot of times. Again, that's stuck energy in the body. And we're going to talk today about some ways to keep that energy moving so that we don't have those sorts of symptoms. So when there's no stuck energy in the face, then we feel, look, and project good energy. So what we're going to work on today is just aging symptoms. Like, how do we age? How do we look as we age? And there's some ways, like some of the aging issues can be sagging skin, can be real dark circles under the eyes. It can be skin blemishes. It can be wrinkles. It can be hair loss. By the way, as a caveat, I want to say that my hair started falling out when I was in my 20s, before I ever discovered this work. So it's hard to know if I would still have hair if I would have known about this work. But for those of you out there that have hair, the men anyhow, I hope you can incorporate some of this work so that you, when you're my age, you'll still have hair. Who knows? Anyhow, those are the things we're going to address. But the first thing I want to say is, why do we want to look good? What's that all about? Why do we want to look good? Well, one thing is, and probably most of you know this, when you look good, you feel better, right? Like they call it a good hair day. Let's say you wake up and your hair, this wouldn't apply to me, but you wake up and your hair just falling in the right place. You look good. You look in the mirror and say, I look really good. And then you feel better, right? It's a little bit of vanity in there, but that's okay. We all have some of that, and it's not a bad thing. But here's the other thing. How we present ourselves to the world can make a huge difference in our lives in terms of how other people perceive us and in terms of how we perceive other people. So the messages we receive from others, is, it goes like this. So when we receive messages from others or they receive a message from us, only 10% of that are the words coming out of our mouth. That's people are picking up and perceiving us. Only 10% of that is the content of what we're saying. 30% of it is how we sound, the tone of our voice, the energy behind our voice. So 10%, 30%, 60% is how we look. So that's what people are really picking up on in us. And that's really what we pick up on other people, is how people look. That's the majority. And that's why it's so important. And I want to stress this. It's not just how we look, it's the energy behind how we look. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today. So like if you're going for a job interview, or maybe you're in sales and marketing and you're trying to close a deal with a prospect or whatever, maybe you're out on a first date with someone and you want to impress them. So all of these things people are picking up on how we look. They're also hearing the sound of our voice, and they're also listening a little bit to what we're saying, but mostly it's what they see. So in our lives, whether we want to admit it or not, we're selling ourselves. In most situations in our life, we're selling ourselves in some way. So we might as well put the best foot forward and present in the best way we can. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, good. Okay, so, but there's a much bigger picture here. As I said, it's not just how you look, it's the energy behind how you look. So we want to project our best looking selves to the world, and we want to project our best energy out into the world. So the practice I'm going to be talking about today goes back thousands of years. It's called, in Japanese, it's called Do-in. I call it self-massage or non-surgical facelift or acupressure facelift, all of those things. And it's only if the energy is not flowing freely, and then the early symptoms of imbalance start to manifest as early signs of aging. So if these early signs of aging are ignored, then more deep-rooted conditions can develop in our bodies over time. So it's sort of an outside-in, inside-out approach. So the outside-in part of it is we're going to do some work on our face today. That's outside-in. We're going to be stretching, pounding, pushing points, and things like that. But also there's an inside-out. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today because it's so important. How we look really is a manifestation of how we feel and the condition of our internal organs. So it's not just how we look, it's really comes from the inside out as well. So this approach opens the energetic blockages at the level of the organ systems so that we can reduce and alleviate and prevent wrinkles, blemishes, sagging skin, and all the other early aging signs. So, and we do this all with the magic of our hands. We're just using our fingers, our hands, that's all we need. And this is a technique then that we can apply to ourselves every day, just 5 or 10 minutes. And it's a way for us to take control of our health. Because the more we work on our face and our head, the more we're affecting other parts of the body and vice versa. So Deepti, would you mind showing the chart? There's a facial diagnosis
Yes,
chart. Do you mind sharing that on the screen for a few minutes? I just want us to take a look at it before we go into, there it is. Okay, so can everybody see that? This is just it's a chart which shows that according to Eastern medicine, there's something called facial physiognomy, which is you can read where the imbalances are in your own body and other people's bodies by just looking at the face. So when I had my private practice, I had a private practice for 20 years where I would see clients around dietary counseling and lifestyle counseling. And the first thing I would do is look at their face. And a lot of times I could tell a lot about what's going on in their face. So then what I would do after I would look at their face, and I would say, well, let's see, Deepti, we lost it. We lost the coming back. Okay, let's say, so see the two lines right in here that say liver? Okay, if people have really deep creases in this area, it generally means there's what's called a liver Chi congestion. So we can work this stuff out. We can help work this stuff out by some of the techniques we'll do today and in the next class. But also, when we diagnose and look at that, we can say, oh, okay, I have some liver lines. What can I do about that outside of the facial massage? What can I do with my liver to make sure that these sort of lines do not appear or they will go away? So what I used to do, I'd look at people's faces and I'd see all of this, and then I would take their pulses, I'd check their tongue, I'd do direct organ palpation, I'd do something called shiatsu on them. And I'd put all those pieces of the puzzle together and I could say, oh, here's where their imbalances are. But it all started by looking at the face. So as you're looking at this chart, if you can, just sort of look at different areas. You can see the heart area, you can see the lungs, you can see the stomach and the intestines. You might be able to pick out some places on your own face that correlate to what you see in this drawing, in this photo. And you can then sort of detect, oh, maybe I have some imbalances here. We're going to talk more about that in another class. We won't go into too much about the facial diagnosis today, but I just want you to get a sense of what we're doing when we do this work today. And in the next class, we are working and we're really affecting these internal organs. But first of all, we can tell a lot just by looking at the face. So since beauty and youthfulness, it's a deep-rooted phenomenon and it's associated with organ and organ meridian health. So this acupressure facelift helps to, as I mentioned before, diminish the wrinkles, the blemishes, the sagging skin, all that sort of stuff when you do it on a regular basis. The other thing I want to say is in Eastern medicine, each different organ has an emotional correlate. So it's a really big system. It's not just physical, it's emotional and even spiritual in some ways, and psychological and mental. And what I mean by that is this. If there's an example, here's an example. There's a very beautiful woman, but let's say she has extreme issues with anxiety. So anxiety in Eastern medicine generally correlates to very specific organs, and it's the digestive organs of the stomach and the spleen. So if this imbalance is not corrected, then it's going to start showing up on her face in the form of sagging and other aging symptoms. She will age prematurely because of the emotional impact that is causing an imbalance in her internal organs. So again, back to outside in, inside out, that's what we're all about. And so let's go. There's some other things I want to talk about, but first I want to show just a few points. And Deepti, if you can show there's a chart, the head and face chart. Okay, very good. So you don't need to memorize all these lines. You don't need to know all these lines, but remember I talked earlier about meridians. These are all part of the meridian system. And there's 14 meridians. A lot of them, as you can see, run through the face and the head. So the stronger and the healthier our internal organs are, the better our face is going to look. But what I want you to look at specifically is the yellow line that runs on the midline. Everybody see that yellow line? It says GV25 on the tip of the nose. It goes up to GV24, GV23. This is a meridian called governing vessel meridian. Again, you don't need to remember that. But what's important is that everything on the midline of the face relates to this meridian that runs down the spine all the way down into the low back. There's a specific point on this meridian in the back of the head that I'm going to demonstrate to you because it's such an important point and it affects the face. So when we work on points in the back of the head, we actually are affecting the entire face, the front of the head. So things like nosebleeds, nasal congestion, eye pain, vision problems, all that kind of stuff can be affected by just working a particular point in the back of the head that I'm going to show you. This point is called governing vessel 16. It's called window of the sky point. It's kind of a weird name, but that's the Chinese. That's a translation from the Chinese. So we're affecting everything, any kind of swelling around the nose or the face or anywhere in here. We affect that by working on this point. So what I want you to do is follow this line up, that yellow line, follow it up, all the way back, all the way back. And you're going to find a point at the base of the skull, top of the neck. I'm going to turn around and see if you can see. I'm going to point this out to you right here. If everybody can see this point right there at the base of the skull, I'm going to put my thumb into it. This is called the Medulla Oblongata, or the brain stem, governing vessel 16, that helps to contract any swelling in the face, nosebleeds, nasal congestion, all that sort of stuff. What we're going to do is put our hand on a forehead, our thumb into governing vessel 16, window of the sky point. We're going to breathe in. And as we breathe out, we're just going to bring our head back on top of our thumb and let that thumb push in as we breathe out. Very good. Breathe in and release. Breathe out and bring the thumb back, or bring the head back on top of the thumb. And breathe in and come forward. One more time. Breathe out and push into governing vessel 16 that affects the face. And hold, push and hold. And now just massage that point with your thumb. Really work that point. Any stuck chi, any stuck prana in here, we want to work it out. We want to work it out. And now keep the hand on the forehead. We're going to cup our hand like so, and we're going to do some percussive techniques. And what this helps to do is open up the energy in governing vessel 16, but also some other very important points at the base of the skull, top of the neck, that affects the face and the head. So we're going to pound. Ready? Just pound in here, the back of the head, all in the base of the skull, top of the neck, governing vessel 16. Switch hands. Everybody switch hands. We're going to do the other thing. We're going to keep pounding. Okay. Very good. Now, look at the chart again. So that's governing vessel 16. Look at the chart again, and you're going to see on the chart, you're going to see an orange. No, wait a minute. It's a brownish line that says G. All it says is G. It starts right here, G1, and then it goes G14, G13. This is the gallbladder meridian. So when we're affecting the top of the head, we're doing a couple of things. We're affecting the actual flow of energy through the gallbladder meridian, which runs all the way through our body down into our feet. But also by tapping the top of the head, we are relaxing all of the facial muscles. And that's what we want to do. We want to, first of all, relax those muscles. So we're getting gallbladder, and then there's something called B, which is bladder meridian. It's the longest meridian in the body, all the way down into the feet. We're going to tap. Let's just start tapping the top of the head, affecting all over the top of the ears, back of the head, gallbladder. Gallbladder, to relax the facial muscles. That's what we're doing. All over, above the ears. Now tap. You can tap. top of the head, relaxing all of the facial muscles. And now let's come down right onto the face, and we're going to do this. Pounding, 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 relaxing. Okay, good. All right, so now your head and face might be tingling a little bit. I hope so, because mine is. And that means that we are moving chi or prana through our face and our head already. And we haven't really done anything yet except do some percussive techniques and work a point. But now, so what happens is when we create more blood circulation in our face and our head or anywhere in our body, the chi or prana follows blood. So we create more blood circulation, then we get more chi or prana flowing through these meridians and through these points, and then our senses start to come alive. So right now, my head and my face is tingling a little bit, just from doing a little bit of work, because my senses are coming alive because the chi is moving. Now, go back to the chart, and in the white line right underneath the eyes, you're going to see a point called ST1, which is stomach. This is stomach meridian, very important meridian. Look at ST1, and what I want you to do is just put your fingers right on ST1. And what that means is that's going to be right on the bone, between the eyeball and the bone is stomach 1. And I want you to, first of all, I'm going to explain to you a little bit. When we work this point, if you have any redness in the eyes or any swelling around the eyes or any pain or any night blindness, any eye issues, any twitching of the eyelids or any visual disturbances, this is the point to work. So it does a lot of things, but mostly it opens our eyes up. So let's put our fingers on that point, breathe in and breathe out, and we're going to push in and hold. You can close your eyes if you want. Breathe in and breathe out and push in and you can close your eyes and just push in on this point, stomach 1. Again, for any swelling or redness, breathe in and breathe out and push in and hold. We're using our breath and we're using finger pressure. Very good. Okay, and open your eyes. Right now, it feels a little different for me. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of points underneath the eyes and on top of the eyes and over in here that we're going to go into in the next class. And we're good. All these points you're looking at right here, we're going to go into a lot of these points because they affect how we look. It affects our appearance, but also it affects the entire body because those meridians run through our entire body. So stomach 1 point is just an example. Just to let you know, though, in general, and Deepti, you can go ahead and pull that chart down if you would. In general, in the face and the head are acupressure points that have to do with a whole bunch of things: congestion, headaches, fevers, stress. We talked about nosebleeds, physical pain, anxiety, and insomnia. There's points in the face that we can directly address that will affect anxiety, insomnia, dizziness, toothaches, and it can help to restore our mental focus and calm our mind. These are all things I'm going to go into. I won't have time today, but we're going to go into all these things and how that can affect not just the way we look, but the energy behind how we look. And that's the most important thing, I think, right? Is how we feel. When we feel good, we're going to look good. So the other thing I want to mention is there's the natural way kind of a modern solution to looking good is Botox. And a lot of people get Botox. And actually in the city I live in Mexico, it's the most popular place in Mexico. And people come in from all over the world to get Botox, to have their face lifted. And they spend $6,000. They all go to the same guy. and they come from all over the world. It's amazing. And they get it done. And that's more of a modern solution. The ancient solution is what we're talking about today. And the ancient way, in my opinion, offers a much more sustainable way of really the way we look and what we present to the world. So if someone has Botox, yeah, they're going to look different and they may look good. That's true, but their face is going to be in permanent paralysis for the most part. It's going to be kind of contracted and expressionless and kind of pinched, and facial features are a little bit flattened, and the skin texture isn't as supple or flexible. Those are all things we want. We want our facial features to be alive. We want our skin to be flexible and supple. We don't want to be expressionless. We want the energy or our spirit to come through our face. So, so Botox, you know, I mean, it's an option, but I think this is a better way to go. But I have to say this, you will not see overnight improvement. What you will notice is maybe what you notice today is your senses coming alive in your face. That's the first step. And you'll feel that every time you do facial massage. But generally what I find is it takes some time. It takes about 6 weeks before people start to notice some differences. And like I say, I've been doing this for over 35 years, almost 40 years, and I continue to do it every day, just 5 or 10 minutes. I do an entire full body routine on myself to move the chi through all my meridians. It takes me a half an hour. 5 or 10 minutes of that is face and head. So what we're going to do next week at the same exact time on December 5th, Deepti is presenting a class. I'm going to be teaching on December 5th an entire routine on the face and head where we can get into a lot more detail. And one of the things we're going to get into is this. There's a mind-body disconnect that can happen if we have tension in our shoulders or our neck. So what happens is the chi or the prana that's coming up into the head gets stuck. Or if there's energy stuck here, it can't get down into the body. So one of the things I'm going to teach next week is how to loosen up this area. This is going to be one of the first things we're going to do, is open up this entire area by stretching, by pounding, by doing specific point work, so that the energy can then flow into our face and head. That's one thing I want to teach. What I want you to leave with is a 5 or 10 minute routine that you can do every day on yourself. You're going to have a recording. You can go back and look at it again. And I'd really be curious to know after 6 weeks, like if you did a before and after picture, to see what changes you're starting to notice. And I would love to see those changes. Sometimes you'll notice it way before 6 weeks. But in general, what I find, I like to tell people 6 weeks is a good time. So we'll be working the neck and shoulder area. Also, we're going to go more into detail about the facial physiognomy, the facial diagnosis, because I want you all to recognize what's going on in your face that might reflect what's going on in your body, because then we're going to get into an inside out approach. And the way we're going to do that, next week is the first class in a series of classes. We're going to do 5 or 6 classes. Deepti is developing these. She and I are developing together. And these are sequential programs. So in other words, it's next week you're going to learn all about head and face and non-surgical facelift. And you're also going to have a sense of what you might want to do with your health to make yourself feel better so that you can look better by addressing the internal organs. So as an example, if you identify, maybe you have a kidney imbalance, you look at your face and you can see, oh, there's something a little off with the kidneys. And then you can corroborate that by seeing that certain kidney symptoms, which are low energy. So the kidneys store the energy in our body. They are the batteries of our body. If you have low energy, it generally means you're going to want to do some work on your kidney chi. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do. If you have cold hands and feet, that's another sign maybe of kidney deficiency. So in these other classes, that's where we're going to get specific about, let's say you have a kidney balance or a liver imbalance. What can you do about it? What can you do about it from a self-massage perspective, but also from a dietary perspective, from traditional home remedy perspective? We're going to do all of this in this sequence of classes. But for the very first thing I want you to do is sign up for the class next week, because that's when we're really going to do a real full-on head and face non-surgical facelift, and you'll know everything you need to know about how to look good and how to create more energy behind how you look. And so that's happening next Saturday. Deepti will, I think she's going to put in the chat, if it's not already
Saturday
there.
or Sunday?
This is now, did I say Saturday? I'm sorry, it's
Yes.
Sunday. Today is Sunday. So it's next Sunday. It's going to be 9:30 a.m. Central Time in the US, 9 p.m. in India. And if you sign up, you'll receive an email tomorrow. And if you sign up after you get the email, you can take 20% off for 24 hours. So you have a 24-hour window to get 20% off. The cost of the class in rupees, since many people are from India, it's 1,880 rupees, and you'll get that 20% less if you sign up within 24 hours of receiving the link to sign up. In US dollars, it's $25, but if you sign up within 24 hours, it's going to be $20. It's an hour-and-a-half class. Again, 9 p.m. Indian time until 10:30 in India. Central time in the US and Mexico, it's going to be 9:30 a.m. until 11 a.m. We're going to go an hour and a half. We're going to have time for, we're going to go through a lot of things. We're going to go through all the different points in the body. And again, I want you to walk away with a routine that you can do on yourself for your whole life, maybe your entire life, but at least for a while. And you'll start to notice some shifts and some differences, and you'll start to present to the world in a different way. And that's what I'm really wanting to see and hear from you all after you do this routine, is how it's shifted for you. And then if you want to join up for the other classes that we're going to be offering after the first of the year, we're going to get very specific into how you can affect your internal, inside out, how you can affect your internal health that will show in your face and your head. So I think that's it, Deepti. I know you put something in the chat, and that's very good. And again, everybody will receive an email tomorrow. Sign up right away within 24 hours, and I'll look forward to seeing you next Sunday. We have a little bit of time left. So Deepti, did you, let's see, somebody, Vicky, handouts. You know, there's not going to be handouts. I will be showing some graphics. I will be showing some drawings and some things. And you can always go back and look at it again. You will have the recording, and so you'll be able to look at the graphics. By the way, if you can't make it next Sunday, it is recorded. You will receive a recording if you sign up, but I would love for you to be there live. It's a whole different energy when we can all be here together. So if you can make it live, that would be fantastic. It's going to be a great class. And if anybody else has questions, I know everybody's muted, so maybe if you want to type into the chat. Or what's that?
I have a question. This is Vicky. Sorry.
Hi, Vicky.
I heard that you said no handouts. Some of these points are tricky for some of us to understand or remember, or know what you're actually saying. That's why I thought handouts would be helpful.
Right. Well, like I say, let me think about that, Vicky. I don't quite know how I would do that, but it's not impossible. I'll talk to Deepti about it. In the meantime, just know that there will be graphics during the class on the screen that you can always go back and review that shows very specifically where the points are. But let me see what Deepti and I can work out. So I won't say no to that. I'll say that I'll do it if I can. How's that?
Kerry, can I add on to that? I think I can add a perspective to what.
Okay, yeah, Deepti, you go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, Vicky, of course, we'll look into the handouts, what best we can do. Having said that, since you will be having the recordings, it's also, as Kerry mentioned, the meridians that we're talking about. Of course, there are these specific points, but we have to understand the energy, passes through these specific points and crosses a specific channel or a meridian. So which means even if you're not at the exact point, if you're even somewhere nearby, still you're helping your meridians. Am I right, Kerry?
I hear you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to say, go ahead, Vicky.
I guess for me, I'm not one that can chew gum and whatever that expression is, walk and chew gum at the same time. I need to know mechanically, okay, I put my right hand on my forehead and my other hand on the back of my neck. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah. And that's really good, Vicky. And you're a lot like me, because that's how I learn. I'm very specific. And when I was learning this 35 some years ago from my teacher, Shizuko Yamamoto, I'd always ask her, like, Shizuko, what is this point? Or what, you know, exactly where is it? And she always used to say to me, Carrie, you think too much, just do the work. And yet I am very exacting, I'm very specific. And so I understand what you're saying, Vicki. But what Deepti said is true as well, in that we're going to be working certain areas that you're going to be very, very close. If you're not right on the point, you're going to be on the meridian. So it's going to have an effect either way. But we'll be as specific as we can, and we'll see about handouts, and I'll do that if I can. There's a couple more questions. Oh, Deepti put up the coupon code. So Deepti, is that coupon code to get the 20% off?
Kerry, yeah, just let me just create some awareness around that. So the coupon code is available. As of now, it is only available for the Indian audience. For the US audience, the coupon code will get operational by tomorrow. So anyways,
Okay,
whosoever is interested in joining the next class, you can just note down the coupon code. Anyways, we'll be sharing the email also with you by tomorrow. But for the Indian audience who's listening to us, wants to join, can immediately register. And for the US audience, you can note down the coupon code. We'll be sending you a notification as soon as the registration is open for the US audience, because there's some payment link issues for the US audience. So we are working on that. So we'll be able to sort it out by tomorrow. And then
so everybody, the US audience will get an email tomorrow and you'll be able to sign up. So the fee is showing as 1,999 rupees. I do believe that's accurate. I think I misquoted the 1,880. But you get 20% off of the 1,999 rupees. It is operational now if anybody wants to sign up. And this is only for one class, by the way. This is one class that you're signing up for. We won't have information on the other 5 or 6 classes until after the first of the year. And there will be more classes where we're going to do the inside out approach. We're going to really get into how you can live the healthiest possible life it possibly can, and how then that will show on your face as well. So the coupon code is there. And yes, somebody asked, is one class enough? And yes, one class, it's going to be an hour-and-a-half class. You will know everything about the face and the head.
Harry, can I answer that question? I think I can just help audience understand or join the dots. Do I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, Deepti.
Okay, so let me just join the dots. I guess that will really help you all what we're trying to do here. So as a part of this series, what we are trying to do is we are really wanting to create awareness about beauty inside out. Okay, so what Kerry explained to us today is the outside approach of bringing about changes in how your skin looks or how your face looks. So even if you take up one class, it is good enough for you to be able to see changes in 4 weeks or 6 weeks, as Kerry mentioned. Having said that, if you want to get to the root of your problem, so when we are talking of these meridian lines, which have these deep-rooted connection, different meridians have different connections with different organs in the body. So if there is a shrinkage in the organ because of that meridian getting shrunken, and wherever that meridian joins on the face, that shrunken feeling will show up, or that that effect will show up on the face. So when you start to work from the outside, which is going to be the first class, still you're opening up those channels. And if you really want to get deeper, you want to work on both the areas. You want to work on the outside also, and then simultaneously you also want to work on the inside. Then the future classes will be really helpful for you, because we'll be targeting 5 classes, because we have 5 different organ system pairings which have these meridians which have connection on the face. So anything going wrong to one specific organ system, the implication shows up on the face, either in the form of wrinkles or dark circles or crow's feet or whatever implications you see on the face. So to answer your question, first class is equally effective as the other classes. It's just the difference between, do you just want to keep your focus on the outside, or you want to get deeper into inside out approach.
Very good. And a couple of people ask, one person asked, what are the topics for the different classes? We have not determined the exact topics yet. We know the direction we're going to go in, because it's going to be inside out. We're going to affect health from a very deep level. But we just don't have the topics quite figured out yet. That's going to all happen after the first of the year. There probably will be a discounted rate for the entire series. I'm sure there will be. Or you can just take as many classes you want and pay individually.
So Kerry, I think what we can offer is, which we had been thinking about, for the audience who registers us for this session, because it would be an end-to-end experience for you, we'll be offering you an extra discount as compared to the new ones who come for the next session. So, that's where you get an edge.
Okay, good. And Patty asked if we use oils on the face. I have never used oils. Generally, I like to use my natural facial oils, the oil in my skin. But we don't tend to do a lot of sliding anyhow. It's more percussive and pushing points. Although there's going to be a little bit of sliding. But I think you'll find that you don't need to use oils. But if you want to, on your own, that's fine. I don't teach it that way, but there's nothing wrong with it. So if you feel like you want to do that, what I would suggest though, is what I want you to do is what I taught today, just the pounding on the top of the head, the back of the head, pushing that point, pushing that stomach point, doing all this. Just start doing that much today, tomorrow. Just start doing that much. That's the beginning. And as I said, next week, we're going to get into opening up the energy here so the energy can flow up in here. We're going to get way more into working specific points. We're going to work on our ears. There's a map of the entire body on the ears. So not only are our ears going to look better, we are going to affect the entire body by working very specifically on the ears. So we're going to do a lot of really, really cool, fun stuff and very effective stuff. But I want you to start now just opening up your senses in your face and see how that feels. Just with the pounding and the point work we did today, just see how that feels when you start to introduce yourself to your face in a different kind of way. And then I really want to hear how that's working for you. And I really want to see you next week if you can make it, because it's going to be the first in a series of really powerful classes. And I'm really looking forward to it. If anybody, Vicky had to leave, does anybody else have any questions they want to put in the chat before we close for the day?
Kerry, I guess Nikita has a question. Nikita, you can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? I didn't.
She's
hello.
Nikita.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Kerry. Yeah, I just want to know how long we should be doing each of the exercise you have shown, the pressure point. How long, like?
How long for what again?
Yeah, the pressure points, what you showed us, how long we should be doing it, and how many
very
times
good.
during the day?
Yeah, very good. You can't overdo it. That's one thing. You cannot OD on self-massage for the face. So you can do it as often as you want. But when you're working the points, that's a really good question. And thank you for that. You want to do it, we did it today 3 times. We did 3 breaths. Generally, I do anywhere between 3 and 10 breaths on different points. And that can be anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. If you want to work it longer, that's fine on the specific points. But I would say at least, 3 breaths, 3 very slow breaths, holding and releasing. Around 30 seconds, 20, 30 seconds. If you want to go longer, that's totally fine. The beauty of this work, it's something you can do when you're sitting around watching TV, right? Or you're sitting around whatever. You can be doing, and this is what I do. Whenever I watch TV, I'm always pushing points all over my body, whether it's on my face or my head or anywhere in my body. It's just a habit I have. Even when I walk down the street now, I'm pushing points on my body. So you can do this anytime. And I suggest that you do. I really suggest that you do, because it really is good for you. So anyhow.
Thank you. One last thing. What should be your pressure be like? How forceful it should be like?
Oh, that's a good question too. Yeah. You don't want it to be painful. If it's painful, you're going to contract and it's going to cut off the chi or the prana flow. So don't do it to a point where it's painful, but don't do it where it's so light you can barely feel it. It's somewhere in between. There's a nice edge before pain and beyond too light that is just right. And you'll find that. You just want to play around with it and you'll feel that. You'll feel that edge.
Yeah, that's difficult.
And you'll also know when you're on the point. For the most part, for many of these points, when you're on it, because generally it's a little bit tender, it might be a little bit painful, or there might be a little indentation in the bone that tells you, that's the point. I got the point. You'll know it. Yes. Any more questions?
Gary?
Yes, Bill.
Hi. The thing under the eye, were you doing that with your index finger or your middle? What?
You can do it with any finger you want. I generally just do my index finger, and it's right below the pupil. So if you look where your pupil is in a mirror, it's right below it, right on that bone, and go in a little bit, like almost between the bone and the eyeball is stomach 1. Use whatever finger works for you. Just hold it, push it, see how it feels for you. And then again, next week, we're going to be working all these points around the eyes and off on the side of the eyes that tends to open everything up.
Perfect, thanks.
You're welcome. Good to see you, Bill. And anybody else? No? Going once, going twice?
Can I ask one more question for
You
before we
can ask as
meet?
many as you want, yes.
Yeah, before we meet next week, I have a very poor digestion issue, like, my intestine and stomach. Can you show me any, immediate relief kind of acupressure point for that?
For what? Intestine and what?
Intestine and digestive issues.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Next week, we'll be going through some points because the large intestine meridian runs right up into here. So this is, and these are very good points we'll go into next week. That's large intestine. Small intestine runs up through the shoulder and comes up in here. And then we talked about gallbladder today, another really good digestive organ. So next week, we'll be going through how to open up the small intestine meridian by working up in the shoulders. We'll be working the large intestine meridian that comes right up into the face. As a matter of fact, there's a point, I think we'll go through this point next week because that's so important. It's a point that is on the large intestine meridian, but it's on the hand. Some of you know it. Kathy, you probably know it. Bill, you probably know it. It's one of the most important points in the body, but it comes right up into here. And many people that go to dentists will not do anesthesia. They'll have the acupuncturist come to the dentist and put a needle right here to pull the energy out of here. That's how powerful that point is. So it really impacts the digestion, but it also impacts headaches, immune function, all these other things. It's probably in the top 5, maybe the top 3 points in the body. So I'll remember to show that point because it's so important in how it affects the whole face.
Looking forward.
So yeah, we'll go through a lot of stuff around digestion because what we do in the face affects the entire body. What we do on our body affects our entire face. Okay, any more questions? Any more? Okay, you're welcome. I think that's it. Everybody has in India, everybody has the coupon code. Hope you sign up. Everybody in the US, you'll have it tomorrow. Sign up and I'll see you next Sunday. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.